Hey, Learning for Good listener. I appreciate you joining me each week to get tips and tricks for nonprofit L&D pros. I love sharing my experience and bringing you top guests from the field. But I'm not the only one doing the work around here. This podcast is edited and produced by my friends at Idea Blossoms. Idea Blossoms partners with consultants and organizations who either have or want to start a podcast. They do everything from the initial podcast launch to monthly podcast management and can support you with audio and video editing, as well as content repurposing if you want to share key ideas through blogs or newsletters or social media. I'm sharing this for two reasons. One, I am so grateful for Idea Blossoms and how they help me bring episodes to you each week. But two, I know many of you have or have considered offering a podcast as part of your learning strategy. As a key contributor and sponsor of this podcast, Idea Blossoms is offering an exclusive 30% discount for Learning for Good listeners, applied to the first invoice. They have 2 spots open for 2025, so head to ideablossoms.com or email Rosa at ideablossoms.com to get started. You can find links in the show notes. And don't forget to mention the Learning for Good podcast to claim this incredible offer.
Hey friend, do you want to offer meaningful learning solutions that create behavior change, fit in the flow of work, and yield real results for your nonprofit? If yes, this is the podcast for you. Join me as I explore instructional design and leadership development best practices, as well as change management, belonging, and influence. If we haven't met yet, I'm Heather, and I've been in your shoes. I'm a learning and development consultant and founder of Skill Masters Market. Before starting my business, I led learning and leadership development initiatives for a large national nonprofit. I know what it's like to need to develop your staff quickly and effectively and to build the relationships and cut through the organizational layers to be successful. And I'm bringing all of that to you in this podcast. So block your calendar, turn off your Teams or Slack chat, and let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. Did you know that employees spend 42% of their time collaborating with others? 42%. That's almost half of their time. That's according to the Global Workplace Survey from the Research Institute in 2023. Here's my question. Is your team any good at it? Or are there challenges around collaboration? And if there are challenges, what can we do about it? I spent some time reflecting on these questions, and most people would say collaboration is important for their work, but when it feels challenging, we're less likely to do it. And when there's conflict, well, we're less likely to do it then too. Can training help? That's what I want us to explore today. Let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. Typically, when our organizations face a performance problem, a challenge, or a change, our answer is training. In fact, companies spend $350 billion each year on training, according to a 2024 Harvard Business Review data. So it's important to know when training can help and how. So let's talk about that in relation to collaboration. Can training improve collaboration in your organization? And if so, how? So my answer is yes. Training can improve collaboration. So then let's talk about how. First, training can help lay the foundation for good collaboration. This foundation might not be the goal of any of your training, but a byproduct. So what do I mean? How can training help lay the foundation? Training is a great way to build cross-functional relationships. You can bring people together who might not otherwise meet or work together very often. These relationships can help them later when they're asked to collaborate. As they build these relationships, they will also find themselves aligning on shared values, shared goals, and shared experiences, which, again, that all sets them up for success later. Also, there's no hierarchy in training typically. If a director is in a training with an individual contributor, they're on equal ground in that space, and that can help build trust, respect, and open dialogue. So the relationships that get created can definitely lay the foundation for collaborative work. Training can also help lay the foundation for communication, which we know is so important in collaboration. As those relationships get built and as learners go through these shared experiences in training, they'll be forced to communicate with each other. And I don't say forced in a bad way. The experience that they're in together will prompt them to work together, to share with each other, and it gives them practice with communication. Another piece of this foundation for good collaborative experiences is resilience, because you will face challenges when you collaborate with other people. But how will you respond to them? Training allows our learners to face barriers, to overcome them in a safe environment, and it builds that resilience muscle. So training, even when not intended to build collaboration skills, can contribute to a more collaborative environment. But what about the skills themselves? Can training help you build the skills that you need to collaborate? Yes. So a few of those skills might be delegation or conflict resolution or project management, and training can help build those skills really intentionally. So, for example, you can create an entire training around delegation. What should you delegate? When should you delegate? How should you delegate? And what do you do after you've delegated something? A training can support your staff in developing these skills. And you might use case studies or scenarios. You might use role play exercises. You might give them a chance to try things out in real life and then come back and discuss. There are so many different ways to build these skills through training. So let me bring this to life for you. Here's what I might do if you reached out to me and asked me to help you improve collaboration skills for your team. And let's say that we've specifically identified a need for delegation training. I could assign each learner a project scenario. They have to review that assigned project and figure out what they're going to delegate and to whom. And then they can role play how they would delegate that task for that project and get feedback on how they did. Now, why does this work? It gives them a realistic scenario, which will allow them to see when they would use the delegation skills and why it's important. It puts them in a position to actually practice using those delegation skills, figuring out what it is they're going to delegate, who they're delegating it to, and how they're going to communicate it. And it allows them to practice, but it doesn't stop there. It allows them to receive feedback on that new skill. And this is huge because we're tapping into their motivation. We're teaching them to recognize the cue for when to delegate. We're developing a skill set. We're building their confidence, and we're helping them get an early win. We've just incorporated all the things we know it takes to change behavior: prompt, motivation, skill, reward. And this is just one example of how you could build one skill set related to collaboration. So, can training improve collaboration? Yes. Training is rarely the only solution to a problem. And even in this situation, I would want to add some wraparound support to make sure staff can make those needed changes. But training can move the needle when done right. If you need help creating training that actually works, reach out and let's talk. I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.
Hey friend, was this episode helpful for you? Did you like what you heard? Do you want more content like this? Here are 3 things you can do. Hit subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Share this episode with a colleague. This means so much to me personally. I read every review, but it also helps me learn what content you like most so I can create more of what you want. All right, turn that Teams or Slack chat back on when you're ready, and I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.